you are like destined to feel better. Like you are supposed to feel better because for you to show up as you are meant to and like live out your specific mission, you can't do that when you're feeling really crummy. And it might be the journey to feeling better that's going to open your eyes to part of what your mission is. So it's just a whole lifelong journey and learning and growing process.
Welcome to the Becoming a Better You podcast. My name is Monica Brooks, and I'm a self-improvement enthusiast who is eager to share tips and strategies to help you become the best version of yourself. As an inspirational speaker who transitioned from a corporate career, I'm here to guide you on your journey towards enhancing your overall human experience. If you're ready to take the first step towards becoming the best version of yourself, then you're in the right place. Let's get started. All right, welcome to the podcast. I'm so excited to be here with you again today. One of my favorite topics I will probably always love talking about is anything related to our health and how we can feel empowered to feel better. And for that conversation today, I brought along a friend, Dr. Steph. Why don't you give our listeners a quick introduction about who you are and what you do?
Sure. Thank you so much, Monica, for having me here. I'm really excited for this conversation today. But yeah, my name is Dr. Stephanie Duffey. I'm a physical therapist. I've been a PT for 8 years now, and I opened Empower Physio and Wellness back in 2019. So 6 years that I've owned and operated that practice, and it's been fun to see the growth over the years. And we have our little team now. I have another therapist who works for me and our client experience manager. So it's just been really fun to see the growth and the journey and navigate all of that over the past 8+ years.
One of the first things I noticed when I was checking out your website, I love that you use the word empower because that's one of my favorite words is to like feel empowered and how we can feel empowered in life. But it's interesting because you say empowering you to show up as the person you were put on this planet to be. Tell me more about that and why that's important to you.
Yeah, that is like my higher mission in life, really, is to help people show up as the person they were put on this planet to be. So, I mean, from a faith perspective, I believe that we were all put on this world for a reason, and we each have unique personality, unique calling, unique set of gifts. And I do really believe that my business and what I do is one of my unique callings on this earth. But I also want to pay that forward. And so this isn't just about me, it's really about the other people that come to know me, work with me, just read content, whatever, through the practice. So to help people show up as the person they were meant to be, like from a very kind of like tangible, hands-on standpoint from being a physical therapist, if somebody is really overcome by like pain, an injury, a limitation, something that physically is getting in the way of like their physical performance in life, or we work a lot with like headaches, neck pain, like I love just helping people feel better and kind of like get back to really feeling like themselves so they can go on and do what they're meant to do on this earth.
Yeah, and I think so often some of us might just put up with pain, might just put up with an injury because we expect it to heal on its own, which our body is designed to do. At what
Mhm.
point would someone say, you know what? I need to go see a physical therapist to help me out.
Yeah, I see this all the time, whether people have been in pain, 20+ years, or it's been something going on for a few days or weeks. You can kind of get used to feeling crummy. And especially when it's been going on for years and years, that kind of becomes your new normal or your new baseline. Like you really don't know much different. And it's so cool because when we get people actually feeling better, I hear it all the time. They just tell me, I didn't realize how bad I felt or how horrible I felt. So to answer your question of like, when is it time to see a physical therapist? Literally anytime. If you are thinking, hey, this just doesn't feel quite right, this is not how I'm supposed to feel. Like just something feels off and you're just not able to manage it on your own. That's time to reach out to you for help. Because to your point, the body is designed to heal, but sometimes it just needs a little support to help itself
Exactly.
heal. Yeah.
You mentioned something interesting about headaches. How can a physical therapist help with headaches? I don't think I even realized that.
Yeah, and a lot of people with headaches don't realize that either. But no, I that's one of the reasons I love helping people with headaches because you just get to like totally like shatter people's beliefs because nobody thinks of physical therapy for headaches. But a lot of headaches are actually referred from the neck, whether that be the joints of the neck. So if you have a headache kind of coming up the side of the neck, around the side of the head, around the ear, That's a neck referred headache called a cervicogenic headache, kind of like headache in the base of your head, wrapping up to the forehead. It feels like a vice or like a squeezing around your head. That's a tension headache. We can help with that. Even migraines can have kind of a musculoskeletal component of something coming from the neck. So we may not be able to completely reverse a migraine or like cure it, but we help people with migraines all the time reduce the frequency or severity of a migraine. And then even sinus headaches, we do a lot of things to help with, sinus drainage and can help a lot with that too. So it's really fun. There's a lot that we can offer people.
I never knew that. And that was going to be one of my questions about migraines because I've heard that migraines can also be hereditary. So is that like a hormonal thing that can cause migraines?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the medical world as a whole necessarily knows the answer to that. There are so many different causes and triggers of migraines. Yes, it can run in people's families, whether that is like a true genetic component or is more like shared experiences, shared habits. I think that's up
Okay.
for debate. Um, but yeah, migraines are classified more so as like a neurologic condition. So a lot of
Okay.
people have a neurologist for a migraine. So basically, that just means there's a lot of different factors to consider when diagnosing and treating migraines, and it's all going to be extremely individual and what works
Yeah.
and what's the best plan for you.
Now, when I was preparing for this podcast, I'm like, all right, Dr. Steph's physical therapy. And I'm like, therapy, therapy. Like, okay, I'm just kind of breaking it down for myself. Like, we know sometimes therapy as the mental aspect of talking to someone, but this can also encompass some of the mental strain that we're going through when we feel pain, I imagine. You see some of that.
Mhm. Yeah, Monica, like half of what I do is being both a physical therapist and kind of like a mental emotional therapist, or like life coaching, I kind of like to call it. I'm not trained as a mental health therapist, but I've done a lot of coaching myself. And the mental and emotional toll that pain takes on people is very huge and very real, especially when someone's been in pain for a long time. Like I see this a lot in back pain. People become very fearful. And are constantly analyzing every move that they make. Is this going to hurt me? Is this not going to hurt me? Um, so it can kind of work that way of like pain contributes to mental emotional stressors, but also the flip side where mental emotional stressors contribute to pain.
Mm,
So your mental state has a huge impact on how you feel physically because stress and tension gets held in the body. So especially my people with like headaches and neck pain, like that shoulder tension. We're talking about stress like all the time and helping people relate to their stressors. And I tell them like the goal here is not necessarily to reduce the amount of stress that's on your plate because one, that may not be realistic. And two, you're always going to encounter stressors in life. So even if this is just like a short-term stressful period, something is going to come up again in the future. So it really isn't more within your control. And what we need to work on is how are you relating to stressors? How are you processing your stress so that it doesn't get stored in the body? So things like, exercise, journaling, meditation, prayer, conversations, working with a therapist, whatever it is. But I'm a very big proponent of some sort of active processing, not just, I'm going to go get a massage or I'm going to binge watch Netflix. Like that's actually numbing. That's not working through your stress and the cycle will keep repeating.
I think that's a great point because two things. One, Dr. Emily and I talked about this on a podcast about stress and how, like, binge watching Netflix doesn't put your body in that mode that you need it to be in. And then Dr. Allison, which I know that you're familiar with, that I talked with her
Mhm.
also about holding stress in our jaw. Like, that's a
Yes.
place where we can, like, keep our jaw clenched up, and that
Mhm.
causes an impact on our body also, like elsewhere. So what I love that you said though is that we don't want to store stress in our body. Like we want to be able to process it. And yes, stress is a normal thing. I remember Dr. Emily talking about that fight or flight, being chased by something, that burst of cortisol in our body. But tell me what would happen when we hold on to stress. How will that be manifested? In what ways have you seen it manifested?
Sure. Pain, muscle tension, muscle tightness. So, I mean, all you have to do is like eavesdrop on any conversation, and you're going to hear people talk about how their shoulders are tight or tense. And um, that's a huge manifestation of stress. Clenching or grinding your teeth at night. I know Dr. Allison kind of dove into this, but any like pelvic floor symptoms, urinary incontinence or just like pelvic pain. Basically, we hold tension anywhere in the body. And so you're going to feel tight, you're going to feel stiff, and as it perpetuates, you're going to feel pain. our nervous systems haven't caught up to modern society. So our nervous systems are more primitive. So think literally, we get put into sympathetic state when we need to run from a bear, or there's a very real threat that is a risk to our lives. So think of like the caveman sees a bear. Okay, sympathetic nervous system is activated. We get this mobilization of glucose, cortisol, adrenaline. So literally we can run. But in modern society, we have bears everywhere. So your boss that you don't like, the strained relationship with a friend or family member, just thinking about everything on your plate, and literally just a thought can activate the sympathetic nervous system. So here's the problem is we're living in the state where our body is mobilized to run, but what are we doing? We're sitting there mulling over our stresses and sitting. So it's like this mismatch between what our nervous system wants us to do and what we're actually doing, and being stuck in that state, not being able to switch between the two. I don't want to demonize the sympathetic nervous system because we need it. It's very important, but it's just being stuck there. And you don't want to be stuck in the sympathetic just as much as you don't want to be stuck in the parasympathetic, because that's going to manifest as depression, lack of motivation. You can still feel the same sort of pain experiences if you're stuck in parasympathetics. So we really need to be able to regulate the nervous system well, allow it to shift between the two states. And that's why we talk about this stuff in physical therapy, because if we don't help you, one, make you aware that this is happening, and two, help you to do that, you're likely to be on a roller coaster of that pain, tightness, and tension for a very long time.
And I'm just
Thanks.
pausing, I think, to take it all in.
That's okay.
But I guess what I hear is that there's a balance between the sympathetic and parasympathetic system. And
Hmm.
and I guess when I think about physical therapy, I will tell you the first thing that comes to mind is stretch. That's what I imagine. I'm going and I'm stretching and moving. And yes, those things are important, but I feel like there's just this whole other world to PT that I really didn't understand. And maybe you see that with your patients as well.
I see it all the time. And like, this is another one of my missions on the earth, is just like to educate people about what physical therapy actually is and what it can do for you. And just systems and limitations on the practice of physical therapy over time has kind of led to this false and preconceived notion that PT is just for if you've had surgery or if you've been injured, and that it's really only exercise based, or you need to stretch more. Like people tell me all the time, oh, I just need to stretch more. And like personally, like my professional bias is no, like I really don't prescribe stretches for people very much, because think about it. If you got a muscle that's tight or tense, imagine like a rope and you have a knot in a rope. How do you try and get that knot out? Do you pull as hard as you can on either end of the rope to
Mm,
get the knot out? Or do you kind of like, need that knot and
yeah.
help get it out that way? So I'm not a huge fan of stretching. I do like mobility, and some people may think that's semantics, but mobility is really how can you control your body through space? So can you control your shoulder coming up overhead? Can you control your hip moving in all different directions, like when walking or running or hiking, whatever it is? And you have to be able to control your mobility to really gain that mobility, and then you have to build strength through it. So anyway, I'm kind of going on a tangent there, but physical therapy has all of the tools to help you feel better from a very holistic way. So all of the stress stuff that we talked about, really like lifestyle education, like optimizing sleep, optimizing nutrition. We can absolutely help and support you with habits surrounding all of those things. And if you need to refer out to like sleep specialist or dietitian, we can absolutely do that. Um, and the physical part is huge, right? So how can we reduce muscle tension? How can we improve your mobility? There's hands-on techniques we use like dry needling, cupping, trigger point release, Graston, joint mobilizations, like all things like that. But I will also die on the hill of if you want to feel better, you have to do something better. So then how are you going to lock all of that stuff in? Again, stress processing, having a good mobility routine, having a good strengthening routine, so that you're really empowered, there's that word again,
Yeah.
to help yourself long term. Because I don't want somebody to be reliant on me for the rest of their life.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And I love the part about educating because if you educate them enough, then they now have information to make those choices on their own and not to rely on you. But you have to be willing to take that step. And one of my favorite questions I always ask myself and audiences that I learned from my former bosses, how bad does it have to get for you to make a decision to make a change? And
Yes, I love that question.
yes, yes. And because it's like sometimes we just put up with it. And then if we put up with it, then we keep talking about it. And then, like, come on, like, how bad? Like, it's bad. Like, do something about it. Change your process, change what you're doing, change a behavior. And that doesn't mean it's easy. It's going to be hard. Similar to me quitting my job, like how bad did it have to get? Yeah. Yeah, I was there. Yep. And now it was time to make a decision. And so I think that comes with everything in life where if we don't like the way we feel, we don't like the way we're eating, well, how bad does it have to get for us to make a decision to move in a different direction? So, what's some of the surprising things that you feel your patients learn through you that maybe they didn't know before?
So many different things, and some of them we've already touched on. One, that like PTs can help with headaches and migraine. The PTs can work on the jaw. Like we love treating jaw problems at our practice, and like we actually like get in people's mouths and work like intraorally on some
Whoa.
things. Yeah, yeah, which people like when they come in, especially if they're not expecting that, are like mind blown. It's like that. I did not expect that today. But probably the most common one I get is just a lot of the education and like kind of that life coaching
Mhm.
piece, or the piece that people feel like therapy. Like literally sometimes people just come to my office and they sit and cry for an hour and we talk about things that are weighing on them, stressing them out. And really like my job in that situation is to like, one, hold a safe space for them to help, bring those thoughts, fears, emotions to the surface, but two, just help guide them in processing through it and knowing what they need to do next. So it's a very intuitive process, but people oftentimes just need that space held and a little bit of guidance with what to
Yeah.
do. And I love it. It's so fun. Like people just have the coolest breakthroughs and feel so much better. And I remember the first time I did this, it was even back when I worked at um, like an insurance-based clinic. It was my very first job after work, which is a great job. I loved it. Like met great people, learned a lot. And this woman came in, she had her knee replaced and she was in a tough space. I think she was going through a divorce. And literally that 30-minute visit, she just sat there and we talked about it. And she told me, she was like, this has been more productive than years of therapy that I've done.
Mm.
And I was like, gosh, that is so profound. Like, you're here, I'm seeing you because you got your knee replaced. And here we're talking about how your divorce is stressing you out. And like, she physically felt so much better after that. And like, we didn't do a single exercise. So it's just kind of a testament to how the mind and body are so connected.
It's so nice to hear how you're impacting other people. Just like you said, you want to make the world a better place. You want
Mhm.
people to become the person they're meant to be, and you help them through that, whether it's sitting and listening. And I think that's when you find like there's so many passions that we have, but like when you find the right person doing the right thing, their gift, right? Finding that gift. And that's where the magic happens. That's where it's like, wow, we're really making a difference. Now, you mentioned
Mhm.
a couple of things, and I noticed also, and you've talked, actually, this was on your Instagram, you were dry needling. And I'm like, what is Steph doing? Can you talk to me about like what that is? I mean, is it related to acupuncture and what the benefit may be of dry needling?
Absolutely. Yeah, dry needling has gotten really popular over the past 10, 15 years or so. It is not acupuncture. That's the most common question I get. Use the same type of needle, but you use it totally different. So imagine giving a hammer to a 5-year-old to play versus a carpenter to build a beautiful table or something. Okay, very different. So in acupuncture, they're using needles based on traditional Chinese medicine, qi, energy flow in the body. Um, and they have very specific points they use. What we're doing with dry needling is we're looking at, okay, where is the body not moving well? Where's the body holding on to tension? Where our muscles not activating as we want? How our joints not moving as we want? And how can we use this needle to help facilitate an improvement in mobility and reducing pain? So we take the needle, it's a very, very thin needle, and it gets inserted into the muscle. And then there's a whole host of things that happen in the body that are so cool. So locally, it helps the muscle release tension. So imagine like if you're clenching a fist, okay, and that's like a tight muscle holding under tension. The needle goes in and it allows your fist to relax and expand so you can straighten out all of your fingers. Okay. So just imagine what that's going to do for a muscle in a joint. So if you're like clenching your fist all the time, but then you're also trying to work with your hands all day, that's super hard to do. And also your fist is going to get really tired and sore after that. Okay.
Mhm.
Um, so it's allowing that muscle to work better, improving blood flow to the area. Blood equals healing. Okay. So it's locally going to help. But probably the coolest thing that happens is we're affecting the brain and the spinal cord to manipulate the nervous system to help relate with that area of the body better. So the nervous system, I like to call it the queen of the body. It rules everything. So when you can get the brain activated, so like wherever you're needling, like the very specific areas of the brain that are connected to that body part actually activate and light up. So you're changing the whole relationship of the brain and the nervous system to that body part. And there's so much still, like even just in like scientific literature, that we don't know yet that's happening there, but it really facilitates awesome improvements in people. Like I love being needled. Most of our people love being needled and seek us out because you feel better usually immediately. Like people stand up off my table, they're like, oh my gosh, I feel better. Like kind of needle sore, which is really normal, but that original pain, tightness, tension is better. Then we can, lock it in with all the other things we talked about, like mobility, breathing, exercise,
That's
things like that.
amazing. This is amazing. I
Yeah.
think, there's so many things out there to help us feel better.
Hmm.
And our body is so beautiful. Like what it's doing and what it can do and how it can heal and how it works together. I'm always fascinated by that. Like our thought, like I always talk about my thoughts impacting my body and of course what I
Hmm.
eat on a cellular level, how it's impacting my body. I just think it's amazing because I think sometimes we just get caught up in the everyday of like getting up, doing work, eating, exercising, but like our body is just like this orchestra and it's like making music and it's just like this beautiful, beautiful thing. And I feel like when you talk about what our body is doing and how it's responding, it's just like, I want to say it's like so magical, but that's not the right word. But it feels just like someone's just waving their beautiful wand. Like, here we go. Let's do something really cool here. So I don't know if that makes sense. That's just how my brain, that's how my brain
No, it
pictures it.
does. It does. And like I deal with this stuff every day and it's like never lost on me just like how amazing the body is and how things
Yeah.
are connected. And um what you had said before that like our bodies are made to heal. Like people tell me it's like, oh, you fixed me. It's like I didn't fix you. Like I helped guide you to fix yourself. And we just put your body in a better state to be able to allow it to do its natural thing and communicate, heal, just all of the magical things that our bodies do. I love how you just called it like an orchestra. That's really what it is.
What is one thing you would want people to walk away with from this podcast about themselves, about physical therapy, or just overall advice?
Yeah, I would say the biggest thing is there's always something you can do to feel better. I hear it a lot that people are like, oh, well, this is just the way it is, or they just accept, with the passing of time, the aging, or a certain condition that they're just kind of destined to feel bad, or have gotten so used to feeling bad that it's just quote unquote normal. But I'm a big believer, like, no matter what you've been told by anybody, any health practitioner, there's always something you can do to feel better. So trust your gut, go with your intuition. If you feel like, there's got to be something better than this, there is.
I always say that too. That's my other thing. There's got to be a better way. There's got to be a better way than like feeling
Yes.
this way or doing the same thing, over and over again. And I think that also applies to ourselves. And we shouldn't just be putting up with pain, putting up with the stress and letting it sit with us and learning how to process that and things that we can do to overall become a better version of ourselves. So, how could someone find? I mean, I know you're in Ohio, you're in Columbus. How could someone find someone that's the right fit for them?
Yes, that is a great question, because really finding a physical therapist who's the best fit for you is really important, so that you can really facilitate the best progress. So the first thing I tell people to do is like ask your family and friends if they've worked with somebody who they really liked, because those personal recommendations can be really helpful. Take it with a grain of salt. Sometimes Facebook groups have good recommendations as well. A lot of people do find me through Facebook groups. So, filter through, like get some recommendations into your homework, look on the website of, that clinic or that practitioner and really see like, okay, is there messaging on the website or on their Instagram or Facebook? Like, does that vibe with me and like really what I'm looking for? There's also a great resource, one of the physical therapy groups that's really helping to connect people with great PTs. It's called the Institute of Clinical Excellence. I think it's PT on Ice, PTONICE.com. They have a find a practitioner search feature. So on their website, if you just click find a practitioner, you search by your zip code, and people who have taken their courses and are listed on their database will come up. So that can be another way to find like a really high quality physical therapist who's practicing at a high level.
And how can people find you?
Yeah, so check out our website, empowerphysioandwellness.com. I've written every word on that website. And so I really just wanted to shine through just like my passion for what I do and how people can be helped. Also Facebook and Instagram, Empower Physio and Wellness. Yeah, and feel free to email us, DM us on either of those social platforms, and we'd love to connect with you.
Thank you, Dr. Steph, for joining us today. I will
You're
definitely put all
welcome.
of the links in the podcast notes so that people can connect with you. You also have a blog on your website too, where you talk about a lot of things, including that dry needling, talk about the effectiveness of it too. Lots
Mhm.
of great information on your website. And I feel like now I just need to make an appointment with
Yeah,
you.
girl, come on in.
All right. Thanks so much for your time and thanks for being here. Until next time,
Yeah.
everyone. Bye.
Bye.